Hello everybody, my name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Shave your knuckles for justice. We are in interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. Now more than ever, we need to call it out. But I've talked about how artists and musicians and comedians and whatever need to be calling out what's happening. And you know, they kind of have throughout history, but we don't hear about it, and that's by design. That's by design. So I want to read you the lyrics that were submitted to me by Everything Revolution by this punk band called Lords of the New Church. And it relates to what is happening today. This came out in 1981, I believe. Video games train the kids for war. Army chic in high fashion stores. Law and order's done their job. Prisons filled while the rich still rob. Assassination politics, violence rules within our nation's midst. While ignorance is their power tool, you'll only know what they want you to know. Oh, wait a minute. That's not true. We can trust the media. Come on. How come mainstream media hasn't been talking about Epstein? That's right. The television cannot lie. Controlling media with smokescreen eyes. Nuclear politicians picture show. The acting's lousy, but the blind don't know. Open your eyes. See the lies right in front of you. Open your eyes. They scare us with all the threats of war. This is 1981. So we forget just how bad things are. You taste the fear when you're all alone. They're going to get you when you're on your own. The silence of conspiracy, slaughtered on the altar of apathy. You got to wake up from your sleep, because meek inherits the earth 6 feet deep. Because that old thing from the Bible, the meek inherit the earth, where they're like, the only way you're going to inherit the earth is you'll be dead. Open your eyes, see the lies right in front of you. Open your eyes. This is explaining everything that's happening right now. I talk about this a lot on this show. Whenever they're talking about something, right now it's COVID-19, and there's a fair amount of evidence that's significant. It's highly contagious, and maybe the stay-at-home orders have helped flatten the curve. Okay, great. But they're taking, obviously the powerful are taking advantage of it. As I've said, even if it's 100% organic, real, wasn't cooked up in a lab, it's not a military bioweapon, could be. But let's just say for argument's sake that it is a real thing. They're absolutely using this to take advantage. Now Google's going to track our COVID, and I don't trust it. But I always say, whatever the thing is, impeachment, Trump tweeted this crazy thing, whatever the reality TV drama of the day is, always ask yourself, what are we not talking about? We're not talking about Epstein. We're not talking about the corruption of the Democratic Party. We're not talking about how, the Democrats just voted to extend this and that. All the Democrats have done have co-signed all of Trump's things. But you don't hear that. And both parties can criticize each other, but only in this very narrow sort of parameters. You can't say, oh, well, they support war, they profit from war. And they don't say that. They support for-profit prisons, and they support for-profit healthcare. You can't say that. You just can't. So, controlling the media with smokescreen eyes. We talk about a lot on the show. That's why we can't talk about Epstein. The most powerful people in the world are in Epstein's black book, and that's why that story's just gone away. It's just gone away. And how people like Bill Gates funds all of these media outlets. That's why he's always depicted as this sort of nerdy philanthropist. No talk about how he's actually had ties to Epstein since the 90s. It's what this song is calling out. We need to support artists that talk about this. But this is by design. How come you've never heard of this band? I haven't until today. Now, granted, I'm not a big music guy. I'm sure Ron Placone's like, oh, I love those guys. You know, I saw them play. I've got a vinyl album, whatever. But if you're not, the reason why they never became huge is because this message, you can't have this message out to the masses. Because as I've shown you before, this is the propaganda multiplier. The White House, the CIA, the Pentagon feed the news agencies, which then feed the masses. I did that, talked about the doc Out of Shadows, talked about the very same thing. What this also shows, and what the lyrics of that song show, is what the CIA, let's talk about, started with Operation Paperclip. There was the OSS back then, but Operation Paperclip took ex-Nazis and brought them to this country. And even that was sold to the American people of, well, these were just innocent scientists that were under Hitler's thumb, and after we liberated them, we just wanted to help, help. They're going to help us. No. We people we knew were scientists and doctors that were torturing people, doing human experiments, evil shit. Hitler was into the occult, evil, satanic, crazy shit. Openly took them into our country. No problem with it. Then there's MK Ultra, all the experiments we've done on people to modify behavior. And then there's Operation Mockingbird. This is not crazy tinfoil hat shit. This is leaked documents. This is whistleblowers. This is Freedom of Information Act stuff that's out there for public. It's a matter of public record. They just dump 10 million documents out there because they know you're probably not going to take time to sift through them, and they're redacted, and you got to spend hours to connect the dots, but people have done it. Mockingbird is to control all of it, and not, as I've talked about numerous times, and this is what Out of Shadows talks about. If you haven't watched that documentary, please watch it. It's not just Fox News and MSNBC and CNN and the New York Times or whatever. It's the big studios. CIA has had offices in Hollywood since the late 40s. The CIA was formed in 1947, and they realized through all their research for Operation Paperclip and MK Ultra and Mockingbird, all those, they realized we got to control people, what they think, what they see. So that's why we watch all these movies with all this violence and death and all this crazy shit. Video games train kids for war. Now, I've talked about this. One of the reasons I can't really watch the NFL specifically, but they do this with all sports. I'm a sports fan, wearing a jersey, but the NFL talks in all that military language, right? The defense, digging the goal line, and strap it up, and all this. And they're always showing video games for war, military strike, gunner, blah, blah, blah. War military games. Arnold Schwarzenegger's promoting some of them. And then right after that is a recruiting video. The few, the proud, the Marines. Right? To tell teenagers, teenage boys, and now teenage girls, here, it's a fun game. It's like that video game you play. So they can profit from it. Army chic and high fashion stores. Well, I remember this. I remember this. So the anti-war movement was really big in the 60s and 70s, protesting the Vietnam War. So they realized, how do we undermine that? Because anything to undermine mainly the left getting together and calling out the powerful. So the early hippies were very anti-war. They were serious activists. Oh, we're going to flood in LSD. Drugs, free sex. They started the honeypot, all that stuff. And war, military, clothing, and culture was really frowned upon. In the early 80s, it started to get chic again. Chic. Sorry, I'm new to English. Army chic in high fashion stores. I remember that. When I was like 10, 11 years old, 12 years old in the early 80s, all of a sudden, like, camouflage pants, and that was cool, and that wasn't just some popular trend that popped up. They fed that into society. You'll only know what they want you to know. That's why the news is just showing those, like, Trump supporters wanting to go back to work. They're just, that's the thing they're focusing on. They're not showing all the rent strikes. I'm going to do that in another segment. Controlling the media with smokescreen eyes. See the lies right in front of you. Open your eyes. They scare us with threats. Everything's about fear. Look, I'm not a huge fan of Joe Biden, but if you don't vote for Biden, then Trump's going to win. That's the lesser of two evils, is a fear-based tactic of voting, right? Every day on social media, I get some neoliberal, like, Graham, so you want Trump to win? Because they refuse to acknowledge. The people that voted for Trump refuse to acknowledge his crimes, how he's bailed out the Wall Street and the billionaires. They don't want to hear any of it. Just like the left refuses to hear that Obama dropped more bombs than Bush. He dropped more bombs than Bush. How many innocent people, because 90% of US bombs dropped hit unintended, the casualties are unintended. They're civilians. We only get 10% of the people that die are the people we're trying to target, the so-called bad guys, the high-asset terrorists or whatever. 90% of the casualties are women and children. Nobody cares that Obama did that. No one cares that Obama did that. His tweets were nice. He gave over $1 trillion to the banks. 6 million foreclosures happened. No, his tweets were nice. Keep you scared that and what's this? They're gonna get Roe v. Wade. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's going to die, Graham, if you don't vote. So I got to vote for a rapist with dementia versus a rapist with a coke problem in a tanning salon? Like, that's... You taste the fear when you're all alone. They want us isolated. They want you home alone in front of a screen just reading scary news and blah, blah, blah. Watching the COVID death roll ticker. That ticker, the stock market number going down, the COVID death rate going up. The silence of conspiracy. They're going to get you when you're on your own. Divided, distracted, and afraid. That is their tactic. That is their tactic. Divided, distracted, and afraid. Because you don't want to see what the war machine's really up to. It's a Raytheon commercial. Look at it. It's exciting. Global world, excited. Everything. Oh, Raytheon. Exciting trains and people and technology and the future. And boom, boom, boom. Don't you want to work on the cutting edge? Raytheon.
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels.
Beautiful pictures. Isn't war awesome? That's what Brian Williams said. He's told to say that because Raytheon buys ad time on MSNBC.
I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons.
I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons. Brian Williams said that. Do you think that was just a flub or Brian Williams talk? No, he's paid. This is manufacturing consent. The reason why Brian Williams still has a job is because he's willing to say stuff like that. He's not saying that rocket could have built this many schools. It's going to kill so many innocent people in Syria. Why are we going to war there? He loses his job. He loses his job if he says that. Doesn't mean we shouldn't call him a gutless coward, because he is, because he needs that 7-8 figure payday, because he's got no soul. I don't have a 7-figure payday. I get supported by you on Patreon, Rockfin, Super Chats, whatever. Oh, look at all these good people.
One global team.
Creating trusted, innovative solutions.
To make the world a safer place.
Trusted, innovative solutions to make the world a safer place. But rest easy, everybody.
And they are beautiful pictures.
Beautiful pictures.
Of fearsome armaments making...
This is from, I think, 2 years ago, maybe. This is when Brian went, this is MSNBC, Trump launches missile strike on Syrian airfield. This is when they all love Trump. When he bombs people, that's when the MSNBC loves him. Everybody gets on board. It immediately becomes state media. But don't worry, guys. The democratically controlled Congress, they're going to resist Trump. Oh, whoops, there's Nancy Pelosi eating ice cream. You're all in a coronavirus lockdown? I haven't got my $1,200 check. I got turned down for unemployment. I just applied for the new one for self-employed people. I might get that. I don't know. I got $1,000 in the SBA loan that might be a grant. I might not have to pay it back. Okay, cool. She's probably got $500 in ice cream. That watch right there is probably a $800,000 watch. She's probably wearing my rent in clothing and jewelry. Hey everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.